conjunction with Microsoft, Amazon started offering ebooks on their website in the year 2000. Del Rey accordingly jumped into the ebook market with Darth Maul Saboteur by James Luceno in February 2001 and Recovery by Troy Denning in December 2001. StarWars.com announced that Recovery would be available in the 4 major ebook platforms: Microsoft Reader, Gemstar, Peanut Press, and Adobe/Glassbook. But for those less technologically savvy, Recovery was also included as an 80-page prologue in the mass-market paperback edition of Star by Star. I had never read Recovery before. I first read Star by Star in hardcover, and I didn't become an ebook consumer until at least 2007. The Essential Reader's Companion from 2012 places Recovery after Balance Point, but before Edge of Victory Conquest, so I thought I'd read it in between the two. So, a brief summary. While the Yuuzhan Vong were victorious in their conquest of Duro, they were unable to kill Leia Organa Solo. But unless she receives medical treatment, the badly wounded princess will die. So, hounded by bounty hunters, her husband Han Solo sets off in a race against time. So first, a disclaimer. Despite what the Essential Reader's Companion and Goodreads and Wikipedia says, I would not read Recovery before Edge of Victory Conquest because it contains spoilers for the beginning of Conquest. Instead, I think that Recovery occurs concurrently with some of the events in Keyes' novel and helps to explain why Han and Leia are absent from that story. So first, the good. I think that Denning did a really good job writing Han and Leia and their relationship. I felt like they had unfinished business after Balance Point, and in Recovery, they actually reconcile and they actually have some good conversations about everything that's happened. They both accept responsibility for their actions, they're able to work through a lot of grief and resentment and frustration, and their marriage seems in a much better place than when the story started. I also liked the slow return of their usual banter, which I had missed from some of the previous books. We also met a lot of Jedi here, both completely new characters like Izil Waz the Arcona and the Barabel Hatchmates, to quasi-new characters like Elisa. There were perhaps too many new characters for a novella, especially when they're powerful, trained Jedi who our main characters have somehow never encountered before. But Tazar and the sisters will return in Star by Star, so I enjoyed getting to finally see their first appearance. On the meh front, Recovery is short, only 8 chapters, and a lot happens here. I felt like the lovely conversations between Han and Leia were vastly outnumbered by the various different action sequences. We had the assassination attempt on Corellia, their escape from Corellia, the trap, and then Han and Leia's entrance on Coruscant. I also found that parts of the action scenes were difficult for me to follow, and the assassination attempt and the trap in particular had parts that were just difficult for me to visualize. And while the reader knows that Viki Sesh is traitorous trash, I felt like Han and Leia's investigation, or at least the conclusion of it, was a little rushed. This just may have been a consequence of the format in that you can't go into as much detail in a novella as you could in a full-length novel. And finally, Alicia's age and experience causes some wonky timeline issues. We first meet her very, very briefly in Christine Catherine Roche's The New Rebellion, where we're told that she was born shortly after the Battle of Endor. So at the time of Recovery, that would put her as no older than 22 years old. But when Leia sees her in the bacta tank, she says that she's a woman in her 30s, and the sheer scope of Alicia's experiences, that she's been on these long-term undercover missions and has also trained multiple Jedi, doesn't really add up with the age that she's supposed to be. So, in short, I wouldn't say that Recovery is an essential read in the New Jedi Order, but it was a very nice detour. Han and Leia are ready to move forward with their marriage. Leia is safe and on the road to a healthy recovery. We meet some Jedi who will have a larger role to play in the next hardcover release. And we end with a reference to the Great River, Luke Skywalker's underground fugitive network to rescue Jedi in need. So next time I will be reading the first book in the Edge of Victory duology by Greg Keyes, Edge of Victory Conquest.